Hello, everyone. I'm Rob, and welcome back to Leadership, Life, and Legacy. Today, I invite you to journey with me to a place where nature speaks without words, where time moves differently, and where the land itself teaches us what it means to lead with purpose. This is Alaska, raw, immense, unforgiving, but profoundly beautiful. Standing here, I was reminded that leadership is not just what we do in the boardroom, it's who we become through the climb. Let's start with the call of inspiration point. As I stand here, this moment provided me with clarity, which reminded me sometimes you have to go to the edge of the earth to gain a fresh perspective. On this part of my journey, I visited a place called Inspiration Point in Skagway, Alaska. The name alone felt like it was meant for this moment in my life. As I stood there with wind brushing against my face, gazing over cliffs sculpted by time and tenacity, I felt small. But I didn't feel insignificant because I realized this wasn't just a scenic overlook. It was a metaphor for the leader's journey. Leadership, like this landscape, is rugged and raw. It demands endurance. It requires vision. And sometimes it demands stillness. We live in a world that glorifies the hustle. But up here, there's no noise, just clarity and perspective. As I was taking it all in, I recalled how climbing as a leader is filled with peaks and valleys, triumphs and turmoils, but always the opportunity to learn and grow. I learned that the path to Inspiration Point isn't easy. In fact, it's uneven, steep, and at times completely obscured by fog. But isn't that just like our leadership path? How we climb with purpose, yet the destination can feel distant? How we navigate difficult terrain, unsure who's following or where the path may truly end, yet we press on. Simply, leadership isn't about knowing all the answers. It's about being willing to move forward anyway. We talk a lot about vision in leadership, but vision isn't just seeing what others can't. It's being willing to keep going even when others won't. And when we climb with others, when we empower, mentor, and lift others as we go, we don't just reach the summit, we build a community that thrives at the top. As I stood there in the moment, I was reminded of a lesson I learned as a professional baseball umpire. That lesson is simply to pause to read the play. This is where I sought perspective of what was transpiring. There's a powerful moment when you reach a lookout like this. You stop, you breathe, and for just a moment, you see it all. You see where you started. You see the valleys you've crossed. You remember the moments you nearly turned back. And most importantly, you realize how far you've come. Every leader needs to find their inspiration point. That place is where you rise above the grind and reflect not on your pace, but your path. Because perspective isn't a luxury, it's a leadership necessity. Now, let me introduce you to Glacier Bay and the lessons in letting go from Skagway. As I made my way to Glacier Bay National Park, it occurred to me if Inspiration Point was about perspective, Glacier Bay was about presence. You see, there's something humbling about standing before a glacier that's thousands of years old. It's quiet, but not still, peaceful, but powerful. I watched a glacier calve, and an enormous sheet of ice breaking away, falling into the sea. It was loud, violent, final. At the same time, it was absolutely beautiful. It was at this moment that it hit me. This was more than a geological event. It was a metaphor for leadership evolution. Sometimes we carry weight for too long. We carry ideas, habits, roles, and even some relationships. Sure, they once served us well, but is it possible they're holding us back? Progress often comes through disruption. And just like the glacier, we must learn when it's time to let go. Letting go isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. All of this has me thinking about the power of legacy. In doing so, I concluded that the glaciers don't rush, they don't force, they simply move slowly, consistently, yet powerfully. And in doing so, they reshape the earth itself. That's legacy. As leaders, we often seek quick wins, metrics, recognition, progress in months, not years. But legacy isn't built in the now. It's formed through years of steady influence, through resilience in hard lessons, through consistent values when the world changed around us. It's not about how loud you are, it's about how deeply you move the world around you. And so, I offer you some of the takeaways from Alaska. Here is what the Pacific Northwest reminded me that few places on Earth could. First, that vision requires elevation. Secondly, that growth requires disruption. And lastly, that legacy requires time. With that, I'll leave you with the following today. First, lead with vision, just like the trail to inspiration point. Next, it may be one of the most challenging requests. Live with patience, like the slow, steady glacier. Lastly, leave a legacy that shapes the lives around you long after you're gone. As I wrap up today, I have a few simple questions for you. My first question is, where is your inspiration point? Ask yourself, where can you go physically, mentally, spiritually to rise above the noise and reconnect with your purpose? What needs to calve in your leadership life? What are you ready to release so something new can emerge? And finally, what landscape will your legacy shape? Because you are already building it with every conversation, every choice, every act of courage. Let's lead boldly. Let's live fully. And let's leave a legacy worth sharing. Thank you for joining me. I'm Rob, and this is Leadership, Life, and Legacy.